So now I'm going to bring up my very good friend, Dan Fleyshman. I'm going to give him a 30-second intro here. Not that he needs it. Raise your hand if you know who Dan Fleyshman is. Oh, dude, awesome. They know you, good. All right, so for those of you that do not know Dan, I first saw Dan on television like 16 years ago on ESPN playing Texas Hold'em in the World Series of Poker. And I remember I'm not just talking about like this young Jewish guy named Dan Fleyshman who was like just at these final tables and stuff, right? Because I played poker when I was in high school. And then like a year ago, I got reintroduced to Dan through my good friend Joel Marion. And I'd heard of Dan at that point. And we talked on the phone. The first thing I told him I was like the poker thing. And then we started talking. And what Dan does now is he is the youngest, how do I say it exactly? Youngest founder of a publicly traded company ever. He's also invested in and runs or owns like dozens and dozens and dozens of companies. Every single big person on Instagram that you follow, for the most part, he built their Instagram. He advises with their Instagram Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, Tim Sykes, the Kardashians. It just goes on and on and on. Like we were talking last night, I'll just share a little bit of it, but like we were talking to something about Instagram, and Dan, like, no bragging, was just like, I need to have a talk with Chris about what she's doing with her daughter's Instagrams. Like, so I just need to have a talk with her. Like, that's pretty legit when you can be like, I need to talk to Chris. All right? Whether you respect or disrespect the Kardashians, like, this is someone of extremely high value and high character. There's no way you'd end up there if you didn't have that, right? And frankly, Dan, you're one of the sharpest, like, social media minds I've ever met by far, and just one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. So, really grateful for your friendship and glad that you can hang out for 10 or 15 minutes today. And he's going to be sharing, again, Dan speaks, like, right now he's on a speaking tour. He'll tell you about it. He's just like all over the place, speaking here, speaking there, speaking there. So he's going to talk a little bit about what you need to do to actually start speaking at other people's events as well. So let's give a big round of applause, Dan Fleyshman.
So I'm going to tell you guys a bunch of really, really blunt, straightforward things because I'm only going to do 15 or 20 minutes. So you're going to want to take notes because I'm going to do a lot of straightforward one-liners. So the key thing is you have to control the room and you have to make people want to listen to you. The very first minute, the reason that you're giving your bio is to give yourself credibility of why they should listen to you. The problem is a lot of speakers, because I work with so many of them, then just keep talking about themselves the whole 30 minutes to an hour, and the people in the crowd lose them because they're not interested because they're not getting something for themselves. So a lot of speakers think that they're up there and they do 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or the whole time talking about themselves. They lose everybody. The entire time you want to be giving them information about themselves, things that they can use, because every time you give them another one-liner, you give them another tip, they're more drawn into you. The reason I've been speaking at, I think, over 200 or 300 events the last year and a half, I did 40 in 2019 already. So we're only 90 days in, I've done about 40 events. You become omnipresent. And I'm going to tell you how you become omnipresent. But the reason I'm speaking at so many different events, if you speak at some events for free, other people are going to book you. So what I do is my friends' events, Jason Capital, anywhere in the world, I'll go speak for him for free forever. In that moment, in that time, I'm creating video content, I'm meeting new people, I'm practicing, even though it's been 20 years of speaking, I'm still practicing. All those benefits are for me, even though I'm doing a favor for him. So when it's localized to you, so let's say you live in Los Angeles, and it's San Diego, Las Vegas, San Francisco, some of those events, you're going to have to speak at for free, especially at the beginning. Remember when you were 18 years old, and you applied for credit cards, and they said you couldn't get it because you didn't have credit, because you didn't have a credit card, but you need a credit card to get a credit card? That's the whole point. If you go and speak at events for free, you're building your credit. People start to trust you because if you go speak at Jason's events, now Andy Frisella or Lewis Howes or all these other characters are interested in you speaking at their event because you spoke at Jason's and they respect Jason. Does that make sense? So if you're in a real estate niche and you go speak at a local real estate conference, what just happened? You now have a video that you can show forever, because that day never changes. You always spoke at that real estate conference, even if it was for free. That video, that photo, that moment in time, you can now use as your credit card forever. When I was selling my energy drinks, I got us into 55,000 retail stores by myself, driving around the country before social media existed. I just got in the car, and I got in the planes, and I went and met with everybody, and the first minute when I'd walk in and meet with Budweiser, or 7-Eleven, or Costco, or Ralph's, or anybody, in the first minute, I remember I'm 23, 24, 25 years old at the time, I'd say, I'm so excited for this meeting. At 1 o'clock, I have to go meet with Costco, so I really want to just go into everything with you right away. What I did was I flipped the entire room. I'm in a room, I'm 23 years old, meeting with the owners of Budweiser or Ralph's or Costco, and I flipped power to myself. I said, I'm busy. I'm meeting with somebody just as big as you, and I got to go. The entire mental state of the room changes. You want to do that and create that for yourself. So, in the beginning, you're going to speak at some events for free. I'm still, 20 years later, speaking at some events for free. Other events, if they're localized, I charge $10,000 to $25,000. If they're far, I charge $25,000, $50,000. It makes sense for you in the speaking world to become what's called omnipresent. And I'm going to give you some really easy tips to do that. So when you're in a situation like this where you're going to be at a 2-day conference, there's a lot of content that you can create for yourself to utilize. A lot of times people come to a conference and they take one photo or one selfie, and that's what they did. In this situation, you could have 16 pieces of content before today's over, and it will feel natural and organic, and it won't be extra work for you. It'll just be part of your normal day. So you woke up this morning before the event, and you created a video. No. You did it before you even flew to Miami. You say, I just registered for Jason's Speaker Academy. I can't wait to go. I'm so excited I'm going to be in Miami next Friday. Who else would love to go to Miami? So at the end of my caption, I said something to engage my followers. Now it's Friday morning. I'm about to fly to Miami. I'm on my way to the airport, blah, 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 blah. I'm so excited to go to Jason's event. Who else would like to learn about how to be a speaker? Comment below. Now I land in Miami. Just got to Miami. You see the point? Then when you get to the actual conference itself, you create a bunch of different pieces of content because you're going to want to be posting content throughout the month, and people become overwhelmed on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. They don't know what to post. Or they just don't feel good on Sunday, so they're just like, I'm not going to post the next few days. Instead of having that feeling like you don't want to create content, you just create a whole bunch of content in one day that you can utilize on the Wednesday morning when you just don't feel like it, or on the Sunday where you're just like, I don't feel well. So during the conference, you interact with the other people in the room. It's not just about trying to get the right selfie with Jason or the right video with him. The people in the room have already vetted themselves. They've already proven that they want to take steps in their life. They already have a cool business, or they want to be in a cool business. They've already shown you that they want to do similar things. So creating content with the other people in the room, some of those people become lifelong friends. You'll know Jason, but he's got tens of thousands of people after him. The people in the room can become the people you create content with, people that you share content with, people that you go live with, and you start leveraging each other's audiences. Now, how do you get booked at more events? One, you have to be bookable. What does that mean? You have to be able to reach you, so your bio has to be perfect. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, your bio has to look the same on every single platform. Your headshot has to look good as well. You have to be ready to be booked, meaning if somebody says, hey, I want you to speak this Saturday in Miami, the contact information, you have to be able to reply quickly, have a booking form, have a way for them to pay you, meaning have an invoice. You have to be able to go through the process if they say yes, or if they make that call, because that call is going to happen. What you don't want to do is have to then spin up an invoice after the fact, or then spin up the booking form after the fact, or then tell them what you're going to talk about after the fact. All the things you have to act as if, meaning as if Jason's going to book you next year for his 800-person conference. You have to be prepared as if you get that email or that call, what are you going to do? If he says that I want to book you and you don't have an invoice, or you don't have a form to fill out, or you don't know what your talk's about, or you don't have any slides or presentations, or you're just not prepared to be booked, what's Jason going to do? Go book one of the other 10,000 speakers you could choose from. So you have to be bookable. Next, it's really, 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 really much easier to get booked if you're in a niche. If you're a generalized speaker, you better be famous, because otherwise you can't just go. They're not thinking of you. They're not thinking of you if you're not in a niche unless you're famous. What I mean by that is, if you're just another guy or girl that has 21,000 followers, and you talk about sometimes real estate, sometimes puppies, sometimes cooking, that's not something that's bookable because they don't have that. When they need to put you on their website, they need to say real estate expert, short sale expert, fitness expert, blah, blah, blah. The bio about you, whatever that story is, has to be really, really clear because they need to use that for their marketing. Does that make sense? Yeah. When they're out there talking about their event, they're trying to sell tickets to their event or get their employees excited, they need to be able to say that 3 or 4 words about you. This woman did this, best-selling author. This guy did this, fitness expert, sold over 100,000 fitness ebooks. Whatever that one-liner, I'm still using that line, youngest founder of a public company. That was 15 years ago. It just sticks because I've said it for 15 years when I was 23 years old, 14 years. Like, having that little one-liner just makes it so easy. There's other one-liners that I could say, but that one line makes it easy. You have to think about for yourself, what is that one line? Not about what you put out there to the world, what are people going to think? Meaning, if somebody's now going to book you and they have a real estate conference, you have to be somebody within the niche inside of that too. Not just real estate expert. Now go deeper. Short sale expert, foreclosure expert, Veterans Association loans expert. When you start to get into the niche of like inside of it, there's plenty of people that are fitness coaches. But if you're a fitness coach for NBA players, or you're a fitness coach for single moms, or you're a fitness coach for ex-inmates, when you get to that niche, you become extremely bookable. Okay? Next. So each platform of social media is important. The reason is you don't know how people are going to find you. People that are booking for events are not who you think. It is most likely not the actual person themselves. It's usually their assistant, their executive, their friend that recommends them, and a lot of times it's social media recommendations. So you have to be what's called omnipresent. You have to have a profile on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, etc. Now, I'm not saying you have to post and tweet 10 times a day. You just have to create the same content that you're going to create for Instagram and make that same exact caption, copy and paste it, and post that to your Twitter, post that to your Facebook, and post that to your LinkedIn. If you do that, it takes away the overwhelming idea of like, oh man, Dan said I have to post on 5 different platforms. What am I going to do? That's too much work. No, the exact same content that you're posting on Instagram, you copy and paste it, and you can post it on Twitter and Facebook, etc. It removes the fear of the overwhelmingness by just doing that one simple thing. If you have a Twitter account and it only has 324 followers, right? You're like, I don't feel like tweeting. What you don't know is, well, most of those 324 followers have around 324 followers. 324 times 324 adds up real quick, right? But more importantly, what if I'm following one of them, or Jason's following one of them? And that person tweets about one of your videos about cooking, or about fitness, or about whatever. And then one of us retweets it. And now tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people see you. Do you see how simple the math is? Just putting yourself in a position to get lucky. That one of us is following somebody, they tweet about your cooking video or your fitness video or your real estate video, we're compelled by it and we repost it, or we book you, or something happens, or I invest in your company. Like something happens off of something so simple that took you 11 seconds of just copy and pasting the exact same post. Sometimes people are just overwhelmed, or they're nervous, like I don't feel right posting when I only have 324 followers. Well, everybody had 324 followers at first. When Jason was talking about Gary Vee's first video, he had like 7 views. But even 3 months later, he still only had like a couple hundred views. But just putting out that content puts yourself in a position to get lucky. Facebook. Facebook is the single most important platform in the history of the planet, and nobody's ever going to buy them. Nobody's ever going to be bigger. So it's important to be on there. For yourselves, when you become speakers, you're going to want 2 pages. Your personal page and your celebrity page, your public profile. You need both, because what happened when I said you have a celebrity page? You edified yourself. By having a public profile, by having a fan page, essentially, well, the people that have fan pages are big time, right? They're celebrities, they're cool. So creating yourself a fan page automatically edifies yourself. LinkedIn. LinkedIn has finally become an extremely important platform because they added 2 things. Photo and video. You can finally post photo and video really, really well on LinkedIn, and they allow people to start adding you and not go through the headaches as before, where if you used to, like 4 years ago, if I would have tried to add you on LinkedIn or vice versa, it's weird because you had to be like a close connection. I had to know somebody. I'd sit there and read your profile. It was like a weird thing. Now, it's just like a social media site. Like I can go add 200 people right now, and I'm getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new people adding me every week. I have no idea who they are. I used to care. I used to like block them off. Now I'm just adding away because I'm able to get thousands and thousands of followers on a platform that doesn't have any trolls. What I mean by that is there is no random people on LinkedIn. Like Becky3838, she's not on there. The 14-year-old that comments little poop emojis doesn't exist on LinkedIn. The only people on LinkedIn either have a job or want to get a job. That's it. There is nobody random on LinkedIn. It's fantastic. So because of that, you might only get 1,000 people on there or 2,000 people on there, but those 1,000 or 2,000 followers will destroy the conversions of 20,000 or 50,000 on Instagram or Twitter. Because that 1,000 or 2,000 people on LinkedIn are absolutely curated in the fact that they are all business owners, they have jobs, or they want to get jobs. There is nothing random about LinkedIn. And then finally, Instagram. So Instagram is the most emotional platform in the world. It's the one we look at in the morning. It's the one we look at nighttime. It's the one some of you are looking at right now while I'm talking. Instagram is the one thing that people really, really care about. And because of that, it's the most compelling. Most of the content that you make should be curated for Instagram and thought about for Instagram. Again, even if you have a bigger following on a Facebook, a Twitter, etc., your Instagram is still the most emotional. Now, when you create the content, it has to be for the people. The same thing I started off the conversation about was not just sitting there talking about yourself. If you post 14 selfies in a row, everything is just about you, right? If you post your salad over and over and over and over, well, nobody wants to see your salad over and over and over. Creating content for the people makes them feel compelled to want to follow you, want to share your content, etc. So, the last tricks are on how to get booked more often. Be everywhere. Not only going to speak at events, but also going to attend events will introduce yourselves to the people managing the events. The best person to get you booked at another event is somebody booked at the event. So if there's 15 speakers at the event, follow them, message them. Even if you're not speaking at that event, you go and become friends with these people. Not friends with an agenda, but in some cases there is an agenda to it because you're trying to further your career. When you go follow these people or you go interact with them in person and they're at other events, most of those 15 speakers at the real estate conference in your local city are most of the time speaking at other conferences in the future. So if you're interacting with them, whether it's social media friends or real life friends, organically, as they're getting booked at other events, you start to come up in their minds when people say, do they have, the event organizer asks if they have any other speaker recommendations, well, they're going to recommend you because you're Robert or you're Jennifer and you're their friend, they're going to organically want to recommend you. You need top of mind awareness. Top of mind awareness is critical because if somebody says a key word and that's what they're looking for a speaker, you have to be the one that they think of. That's why I said the niche part. If I say a short sale expert, or I say a stock trader, or I say any of these type of words, you think of somebody. If I say stock trader on social media, people think of somebody like Timothy Sykes. If I say here in my garage, people think of a certain person. Like there's certain words that I can just say the word garage and you think of somebody, right? It's weird. You want that top of mind awareness for your niche. So if you're that fitness trainer or you're that real estate agent or you're that thing, you also want to have the top of mind awareness because what happens is as people are booking for their events, as people are thinking about who they want to curate, you're the one that needs to come up. Just like if you're a real estate agent in North Carolina and people are at dinner and somebody says something about real estate, you want to be the one that they recommend, right? Because you would make $16,000 commission on that person buying or selling their home. You want that friend or that social media follower to think of you first. How do you do that? Top of mind awareness. People have to be thinking about you in the moment. Because at that dinner, in that moment, when that person says, I want to buy or sell my home, Becky needs to think about you. That moment has to happen in real time. And if you didn't post that day at 9 in the morning, she may not have been thinking about you. So keep that in mind. When you're creating your content, you're creating it for different reasons. The reason you're going to other events is you need to be networking at all times. The way you get more speaking gigs is to interact with other speakers and the event organizers. It's really, really easy to find who's booking for the events and who's throwing the events because of this thing called social media. The people are posting about the events they're going to, and they're tagging the people that are throwing the events. They're tagging the videographers of the events. They're tagging the other speakers of the events. Follow, 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 follow. Then you go to this little box and you direct message them. It looks like a little mailbox. You direct message them and say, hey, I would love to speak at one of your future events. You know how hard that was? It took 7 seconds. You know how much it cost? $0. Do you know how long it takes to do it at 3 in the morning? It doesn't matter if you do it at 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, because you're not making a phone call to somebody's home. You're not being rude if you message them at 3 in the morning through a direct message. So if you guys are busy and you're working 14-hour days, you're like, Dan, I just don't have the time for it, do it at 11:12 p.m. At 11:12 p.m., you turn off Netflix, and for the next 48 minutes until midnight, you just direct message people that are at other events, especially if you can get into your niche. And you just search real estate events in Los Angeles or in Miami or whatever city that you live in. And you go to events.com, you go to eventbrite.com, you go to meetup.com, you go to these core event sites, and you look up the local conferences coming up in the next 30 days. You know how much that costs? $0, $0, and $0. And you find these events that are coming up, and you see the event organizer's name because it says it right there in blue letters, and you type that name onto social media, and you find them. And it says, John Roberts, the guy that's throwing the local real estate conference for 800 people, you find that person on Instagram, Facebook, etc., Twitter. John Roberts probably doesn't have a big following. The guy throwing the event probably doesn't have that big a following. The same way you can go find the buyer for Costco and the buyer for this hotel and the CEO of Marriott on Twitter because they just don't have that big a following. None of these people are famous. Does anybody here know the name of the CEO of Marriott? No. The guy probably has like 2,800 followers. So you could tweet at him and say, hey, I want to speak at the next Marriott conference. What's the worst that happened? He says no or he doesn't reply. But what if he says yes? Because nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is tweeting at him. Nobody else is sending him a LinkedIn or an Instagram or a Facebook or all four. They're just not. You can do all these things for free. You just got to use social media. All right, thanks, guys.
What was the most useful thing you got out of what Dan just shared? Yes. Being everywhere. Who else got that message? Be everywhere. Yeah. Good. Did you guys also get, like, 'cause who here has heard that word omnipresent before? Yeah. And you know that idea. Did you actually hear some ideas on how to be everywhere? Instead of just, oh, I need to be everywhere, but I have no fucking idea how to do that? Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, Carlos.
I'd say another good thing that I got is basically have like a sub-niche to your niche so that you can be the expert in that,
yes.
in that field.
Yes. So the way you think about that is you want to be big fish, small pond, right? You do want to be big fish, small pond. Not in life, but in your positioning. In like the line on your Instagram bio, what does it say? Like his says, youngest founder of a publicly traded company ever, right? And then like a couple of hands with like this, like that thing. He does it on purpose, right? He said that was, 15 years ago? But that's the niche, that's the thing people remember him by. The way you think about it is best, biggest, first. Right? You're either the best at something, the biggest at something, or the first to do something. Does this youngest founder, does that fit into one of those three?
Yeah, so.
Right? Best, biggest, first. He was first, right? First youngest. Now, if you're like, well, I'm not the first or the best or the biggest anything, what you do is you shrink the pond until you do become the best, biggest, or first. So if you were 24 when you founded a publicly traded company in cannabis, right, but you're like, I'm not the youngest. He was 23, I was 24. Then you change it and you shrink the pond, and instead of saying youngest founder of a publicly traded company, you say youngest founder of a publicly traded company in the entire cannabis industry. Does that make sense? It's still the same thing, you just shrunk the pond. but you're still best, biggest, first, and that's what it'll be sticky in their brain. They'll remember that. Cool.
Or also you could put like in your town or state.
You just keep shrinking it. Yeah, if it can't be cannabis, like then it's Texas, and if Texas is too big, then it's Dallas. And if Dallas is too big, then Main Street. If Main Street is too big, then it's the corner of Main Street. I don't know. You just keep making it smaller, because they don't really they stop listening critically after the first part. So they don't hear where you're the biggest, they just remember that you were the biggest or the first or the best. Yeah. One more. Yes.
When he started his speech right away, he kind of framed it where he was in demand. Like when he said he would go to speak at all these other events, he would say, hey, I have an appointment at such and such time, I'm going to get right into it. So he's like framing himself as someone who's in demand.
Yes, right away. Right? It's called stealing the frame. Is what that is, that technique. And it's really, really good. Right? He talked about when he was 23 selling, the company, if you guys were wondering what he was the founder of, it was an energy drink company. I don't remember the name of it, not Red Bull. But he would go and meet with these Budweiser or whatever. And at the start, he'd sit down and he'd say, hey, I'm really excited to be here, really excited to meet. I'm meeting with Costco after, so I have to leave at 1. Let's get started. Right? How good is that? Yeah. Did he just steal all the power? Yeah, all the fucking power. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Last week I got power framed. I'm looking at buying one of the oceanfront condos in Puerto Rico, right? And I met with the realtor, and the asking price that we were looking at that I was going to offer, it was 4.6 million, all right? And I don't want to spend any more because I don't think it'll appreciate more. I don't think it'll be worth any more. So we sit down, and before we start, she goes, by the way, before we begin, let me just show you. I just got a text from the owner of the condo. He won't sell for less than 5 million. So let's get started. Dude, her claws came out right away, right? And I was like, all right, let's fucking do it, right? But that was great on her part, right? Because she was like, yeah, let's just meet at Starbucks real quick. It'll be like real chill. So I was literally like, I'm in Puerto Rico mindset. I'm wearing flip-flops and board shorts. I'm just like expecting we'll grab I'll get tea, she'll get coffee, we'll have some fun, and then maybe eventually we'll talk about the deal. It was like she came in a business suit. She was ready to go. I was not prepared. Right? I was not prepared. And now I'm like looking elsewhere to buy the condo because I'm like, I don't know how to fucking recover from that one. What I should have done was I should have sat down and I should have said, hey, like I'm really excited to meet with you. I just have to leave at 1:15 because I'm meeting with another realtor. We're looking at places at the St. Regis, also in Puerto Rico in like the 4 to 4.2 range. So I'm really excited here. I just I have a hard out at 1:15. That's what I should have said. You guys see the difference here? Yeah. But the start of the frame, it sets the whole thing. The whole interaction, and that's one-on-one. Does that also apply to one-to-many, whether it's video or in person? Totally, right? Totally. This, by the way, like I first started learning this stuff from the dating stuff and the pickup stuff, because when guys would cold approach girls, like, and we have 3 amazing women in this audience here today, right? Like, if you guys are at a bar or you're out, and some guy that you don't know comes up and talks to you, you have no idea who he is, you don't know his intentions, you don't know anything, and he starts talking to you, what's the first thought that you have? He's trying to pick me up, but what's like the objection? How fucking long is he gonna be here for? Right, you're already like, you're like 60 seconds and you start the countdown timer in your head. You're like, I will give him 60 seconds. Right, you're like, go. Yeah, right? So what they taught guys to do was, they called it a false time constraint. It's a name for it, where you go up to the girl and you say, hey, I wanna get your opinion on something real quick, but I gotta get back to my friends, so I only have a minute. And then you say the thing. And now the girl is at ease because she's like, he's not gonna be here all fucking night annoying me, right? He's gonna leave. But he actually took the power frame because he's the one leaving you instead of you leaving him. You guys see the difference there? It's powerful, right? It's awesome. Yeah, and by the way, it works on guys too. It works both genders, doesn't matter. But it works on stage also. Like, you guys know how important status is, right? So if you go on stage, even though they know you probably have 45 minutes or 60 minutes or an hour, there's nothing wrong with you going on stage and saying, I'm so excited to be here. I have 60 minutes with you, and I'm gonna give you my absolute best for the next 60 minutes, but I do have a hard out at 60 minutes. My plane is literally on the runway in 90 minutes, so I'm gonna go as hard as I can for 60 minutes, and I love you guys, and I hope to see you soon. So let's get started. Like instantly, how high did your value just shoot up to the entire audience? Really high, and your credibility, did it go up too? So what happens if you're selling something at the end of the talk? Are you gonna sell more because of what you did at the start? Yeah, 100%. Yes?
Do you lose credibility if you go over the time that you said you're only going to be there?
No, no one notices. You know how many video sales letters I've created where at the start I go, in the next 4 minutes, here's what you're going to learn. And then 40 minutes later, I'm still going. Yeah, no one cares. I did a talk in New York a couple months ago, this event called Breakthrough, where I sold EIE. And my call to act at the start, I mentioned I have 45 minutes for my talk or whatever, and at 2:34 my flight is leaving New York, so like I'll answer questions after, but just know I got to leave here at 1:30 to head to the airport or something like that. I don't know what the time was. So when I got to the call to action at the end, I was like, so listen, here, I'm gonna meet you in the back of the room if you want in, bring in your form, etc. But just know I have about 12 minutes before my plane leaves, so if you want to join, make sure you meet me back there like now. Bull rush. All right. I've been speaking a lot at these like young, I call them young person events. I'm like, they're like, this one in Breakthrough I spoke at in New York, and then this other one at M3 last month in Vegas. The whole audience is like average age, like you were there, right? In Vegas. Was anyone else at M3? Carlos, you were there, yeah. Average age is like what, 19? Yeah, it's super young. It's like 19 years old, right? At Breakthrough, this other one, the Sam Jacobs one, like 16 years old was like the average age there, right? And I was selling something, right? I mean, we had to turn it into a payment plan because, you know, it's like 6 payments, but like we were still selling. But at both of those events, because I did the time constraint thing, I had like literally the whole audience like let out and rushed to meet me in the back. In Vegas, they did that, and I didn't. That was a whole thing. I don't even know how that happened. But in New York, like that happened also, where literally like there was like 200 people in New York, like 120 got up and rushed to the back, and the next speaker is waiting to go on. The whole audience is gone. So they literally had to take a 30-minute break for the entire event just for me to process orders and get everyone. And then like when I was done, the kid who was putting on the event, he came to me. He was like, hey, can you tell them to go back in the room because they won't listen to me anymore. Right? So like, it works, right? It really, really works. Yes?
That's when they find out that your plane's not actually moving. They're using stuff, or does it not matter?
Oh, you know what, dude? I want to help you guys so much. Tiffany, can we just take the next flight? Thanks. Actually, it went so late that Tiffany and Donovan were with me in New York that they missed their flight because we pushed it. Right, I really did have to go, and I didn't go. I was wheeling and dealing. Yeah, I was wheeling and dealing.